Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our fourth Marketing Done Smart event titled How to Launch Your Website in 6 Simple Steps. My name is Vlad, and tonight we have a very special guest, branding and digital media expert, founder of theforest.ie, Teresanne O'Reilly. Before we start, I would like to let everyone know that this event is being recorded and you will have access to this recording in the coming days. It will be posted on our social media. To those of you who are new to the Marketing Done Smart series, I would like to briefly introduce you to what exactly the Marketing Done Smart webinar series is envisioned to become. As part of the Southeast Marketing Forum initiative, Marketing Done Smart aims to become an educational and support-focused platform where startups, micro businesses, and even SMEs can learn about the latest developments in the field of marketing and gain some valuable insights, which can be applied to their business. So it is aiming to be really practical. We're planning to hold webinar events on a monthly basis and have a variety of speakers from a wide range of industries. Our next event is planned to be held sometime in April. So please keep an eye on our social media and especially Eventbrite platform. That's where the registration happens, and that's where the event goes up first. Today's event will provide insights on how to build your website in a time-efficient and cost-effective way, as well as the other important factors such as strategic layout and UX design, content preparation, copywriting, and branding. There will be a Q&A at the end, so please feel free to stay after the presentation to ask any questions that you might have. You can type your question in the chat box during the presentation. You don't need to wait until the end of it, and we will try our best to answer them. Tonight's event is hosted by RIKON, who provide business support in the fields of business modeling, customer interface, process optimization, and technical optimization. Their services are available through the Innovation Voucher Fund, which provides companies with a €5,000 worth of research funding. Details on how you can apply for this business funding and what RIKON can do for your business will be provided to all of you via email following this event. You can alternatively reach out to me. My details are on RIKON website. Without further ado, I would like to introduce you to our speaker for tonight, Teresanne O'Reilly, who has extensive experience in the industry, having worked in various media marketing roles, and is a founder of a digital marketing agency called The Forest. Teresanne, take it away.
Thank you very much for that. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me this evening. It's a real pleasure to be part of the webinar series with RIKON, Marketing Done Smart. So the webinar tonight should last about 50 minutes thereabouts. And of course, we've got loads of time for a Q&A afterwards as well. So just give me a second. I'm going to share my screen here so we can have a look at the 6 simple steps to launching your website. All right, has everybody got a good view of that? Perfect. And can everybody hear me okay as well? I want to make sure that everyone can hear.
Yeah, I can hear you. I think the rest of us can hear you just fine as well.
Perfect, good stuff. Cheers to that, Vlad. So tonight I'm going to be showing you how to launch your website in 6 simple steps. And the great news is that these steps can be done over just a couple of days. So essentially, you could be sitting here tonight thinking about a website for your business or a blog or a project that you're working on. And if you follow these steps, you could be up and running and live within the next week. So these steps are really handy if you're thinking about DIYing your website or if you're working with a web developer, because you'll have to provide them with a series of information about your business, suitable images to use, and text or copy for the website. So this will just help streamline that process and streamline the communication process, especially if you are working with a developer, and hopefully save you some time and money as well at the end of the day. So my name is Teresanne. I am the founder and managing director of The Forest, which is a web design and brand strategy company that works primarily with small and even micro businesses all over Ireland to get them online so that they can sell their products and services more effectively and efficiently, and then leverage their website as well and their social media presence to build a really strong brand that customers kind of instantly want to engage with and buy from as well, which is obviously very important. My background has always really been in marketing in some capacity, moving from professional services marketing in investment banking to a career in radio, where I spent most of my professional life up until late 2019. I was probably known by listeners primarily as a radio DJ or a presenter because of the time that I spent on air, but in the background of the national, regional and local stations that I worked with, I was very heavily involved with the development of the station brand, their digital offerings, creating content and marketing strategies, developing digital products, and even building station websites as well. The current WLR website was probably one of the biggest projects that I took on during my time in radio, and it's great to see that it's performing so well and it's serving so many people across Waterford and beyond. So there's always been a bit of an undercurrent, I guess, of both communications and business development throughout my career, which is really where my passion lies. I love to see and help businesses grow and develop strong and effective communications. And I really do feel that one of the most powerful communications tools that any business can have is a really strong website. And it doesn't need to cost you the earth, and it doesn't have to take you months to build it. So since I went full-time with the Forest about 18 months ago, I've had the pleasure of working with some really great businesses and building websites and strategies, the likes of Seagull Bakery, Mirrors.ie, Breakwater Gift Shop, Leonie's Boutique, Butorium, TRM Clothing, Evo Kitchens, and that's really just a flavour of the local and the Waterford-based businesses that I've been working with. So one thing that I've noticed throughout my 18 months, especially doing this full time, is that there is a strategy and there is a formula to building a high-powered and high-performing website, and to do it cost-effectively and quickly. And that is what I'm going to share with you this evening. If you do have any questions across the evening, as Vlad said, if you want to pop them in the chat box or just jot them down yourself and hit me with them in the Q&A afterwards, I'd be more than happy to answer anything I can anyway at the end of the webinar. So the first step in getting your website up and running is to choose the platform that you want to build your website on. There are a ton of website building platforms out there like WordPress, Shopify, Wix, Xero, GoDaddy, the list goes on. I personally build with Squarespace. I've been working with them for the past 7 or 8 years now, and I'm a certified Squarespace Circle developer, but the steps that I'm sharing with you this evening, they are all relevant regardless of what platform you choose. Squarespace is just my personal favorite of choice because it requires no coding experience for the manager of the site at the end of the day. It's really robust, it's very secure. The sites are instantly mobile optimized, and they have a really clean and kind of modern aesthetic by default as well. So things you're going to want to consider when you are shopping around for your platform is, does the platform require any coding knowledge? And if so, does the person who is ultimately going to be managing that site on a day-to-day basis, very likely you, do you have any coding experience at all? This is particularly relevant, I think, if you're getting a website built by a developer, because you don't want to get stuck having to pay expensive retainer fees to get them to make simple updates for you, nor do you want to have access to, add new products and update a blog post, but not actually be able to change the slider or the hero image, that big main image on your website, or create, new pages or new product categories. You'll want to be able to pretty much manage every aspect of your site so your business can run efficiently day to day. So ideally, you or somebody on your team should have easy access to update and manage your site without needing to outsource expertise. So the next thing to consider is, does the platform support e-commerce? Now, if you're hoping to sell products or services on your site, this is vital. You're going to want to choose a platform with integrated e-commerce that allows your customers to check out on your domain name as well. And that's definitely one to take note of. This means that when they're at the part of the checkout that asks for their credit card details, it's on your website and it's not hosted by a third party, which can often discourage a customer from handing over their details and, maybe thus abandon the sale altogether. You'll also want to consider what resources are available within the website and within the platform. So this is especially important if you're DIYing your website, I think. Even the most intuitive and self-taught designers will require some help along the way just to troubleshoot problems and help you figure out some of the more complex features. So before you decide on a platform, check out their resources. Go onto their website, look for step-by-step articles and video tutorials, and make sure they have 24-hour support as well. And that's not just support limited to working hours, which, maybe the working hours of those based in China or in the US, Because if you have a problem at 9 a.m. Irish time, you don't want to have to wait, you know, until 3 p.m. in the afternoon when somebody's day begins in California. So just kind of a top tip, look for 24-hour support. The next thing to look for is your SSL security. Does the platform provide that as standard? SSL stands for Secure Sockets Layer. And what this is it's a collection of data files that will sit within your website that establish an encrypted link between the server that's hosting your website and the browser that the website visitor is using. So it basically ensures that any data or information, be it email addresses, personal information, credit card details, anything that's passed from that website user to the server that's hosting your website remains completely private. It's an essential part of your website. It is essential for all new websites, and it should be included by your platform provider. So you're going to want to then figure out, of course, how much is it going to cost you? There are huge variations in price between the different website platforms. Some of the cheaper options have limited functionalities and maybe lots of additional or hidden costs then. So for example, some platforms will advertise a 12-month license fee, maybe for €50, but you know, you may only be allowed a certain bandwidth or a limited number of pages, which can prove then quite costly if you go over that capped amount. So the likes of WordPress, for example, it can be almost next to nothing to build a site on. But what you will find is that those cleaner and more modern looking and really sleek WordPress websites are built on templates that can cost thousands of euro, hundreds, you know, more often, but sometimes thousands of euro, and ultimately may not actually fit what your business needs. This site for Tonal is built on WordPress and it looks incredible, as you can see, but it is one of the most expensive websites that has been built. So it's just, again, something you want, a website that looks great, but you don't want it to cost you a fortune to build. So the same can be said for all platforms, really. It doesn't matter what platform you ultimately go for, you know, whether it is a Squarespace, a WordPress, a Shopify, Wix. You just want to make sure that it provides you with maybe some free templates that you can use, that you can, you know, customize to your heart's content. You're going to want, of course, to be able to have some e-commerce functionality if it is products and services that you want to be able to sell at the end of the day. Again, I love Squarespace because it has loads of free templates that you can work with. It starts at about €11 per month and goes up to just over €30 for an advanced commerce plan. And there's also a 14-day free trial, which many of the more reputable platforms will offer as well. So again, look for that. It's a nice way to be able to trial the platform before you commit. So shop around, add up all of the associated costs and decide on the platform that is going to give you the best bang for your buck. So step 2, we are going to decide on your navigation and your layout. So once you've chosen the platform, it is time to start preparing your website. So the first thing you want to do is decide on the navigation and the layout. This is essentially where the information you want to include in your website will go and how your website visitors will find it. Good website navigation allows your visitors to flow from one page to another without getting frustrated or without wondering where they're supposed to go to find what it is they're looking for. It should be seamless and it should feel effortless as well to the website user. Your layout then, that is how you want your content to be displayed visually and strategically across your site so that you can use it to convert your visitors, whether it's selling them a product or a service, getting them to request a quote, signing up for a newsletter, or finding specific information that you want them to be able to see, watch, or read on your website. Now, with high-speed broadband and high-powered devices, whether it's, you know, your phone, your laptop, or a tablet, like we've all become extremely impatient, I think, as website users, and we want everything to be instant, happen in a millisecond, we want it to be seamless. So you do need to consider when somebody lands on your website, what do you want them to see when they get there? What are they going to be looking for? And then you build your navigation around that. So for example, if you're setting up a website for a clothes shop, you'll want for people to be able to easily find the different categories of clothes that you sell. So you don't want to hide that information on a secondary page, nor even have it so far down your homepage that people are unlikely to scroll down through it. So when they land on your site, you want them to be able to see tops, dresses, jeans, jumpers, skirts, coats, and that way they can easily jump to the section of the site that they want to browse and they want to peruse. So likewise, if you've got 1 or 2 core services, you might want each of those services to have their own tab in your main navigation slide. It doesn't just have to be limited to the categories of products that you're selling. On the flip side of that, you don't, you might want to group products and services together. You might have, you know, 6 or 7 or 8 different types of products that you want to, you know, to share and to group together. Try to go for maybe between 3 and 5 options for your website visitors to choose from in your main navigation. Definitely no more than 7. That's probably kind of pushing it. And that's depending on how short you can keep your navigation titles as well. Now, as I said, you might be thinking, you know, that's all well and good. We are a company that offers at least 8 or 9 different services, you know, so how do we go about including them? So like that, as we've seen here on this TMG plumbing site, it's nice to be able to group them all in that main navigation at the very start. So you're going to want to then consider a couple of, I suppose, the content that you're going to then include on your homepage as well. Sorry, I think I'm actually jumping ahead of myself there now. Oh yeah, so what I was going to say actually is that sticking to that kind of 3 to 5 rule. So if you're trying to decide what's going into your main navigation, you're thinking, right, I've got 3 to 5, you know, key products or key product categories or service categories, and you want to narrow that down so that they can sit on your website. It kind of forces you to streamline how you communicate your core offering by sitting down and thinking through the services or products that you offer. So you'll likely find ways to condense some of that information. So maybe you can get a better group that offering, or, you know, even combine some of the services that maybe have been part of your offering for years, but maybe have evolved over time. And you might also realize, and I know this is, you know, from experience from working with clients, that they might be offering services, you know, technically on their books that are no longer in demand, and perhaps they don't make you the money that they once used to. So it's a good exercise that's, you know, beneficial far beyond just deciding what gets included on your website navigation. So you'll also want to consider then what information you're going to include on your homepage. So this is the most valuable page on your website. It should be a great representation of your business and what your business offers. But bear in mind that not everyone is going to scroll all the way down your homepage either. So that prime spot is what your visitor sees as soon as they land on your website. So this is where you should position your most important call to action. So shop now, request a quote, book an appointment, book a consultation, something that converts your website visitor into a customer. Below that, then you can include more information about your core products or services, with a facility then to click through to a page maybe that expands a little bit more on that topic. So you're also going to want to include a footer on your website. So that's the part of your website that carries through every page of the site. It is a really handy place to include another call to action, such as enticing somebody to sign up for a newsletter, maybe buy a voucher or shop your products, request a quote, etc. Also a really good place to include links to important ancillary content for your website as well. So maybe your About Us page, or if you've got a terms of service, I would recommend that every website has a privacy or cookie policy. Again, if you're selling physical e-commerce goods, you might want to include a delivery and returns information. Outbound links then as well to maybe affiliate organizations if you've got a sister company, or if you're working with a charity partner or a parent brand. Really nice place just to pop that in the footer, easily navigable from there. And again, they're not kind of taking over what is the main purpose of your website. So I recommend drawing out a rough plan of what your layout will look like, and take note of the purpose and the function of every section on your site, every button, every clickable link or an image, so that you can make sure you link everything together when you're loading in that content. And this is going to form what's known as the wireframe of your website, and it kind of acts like a bit of a blueprint for your design. So step 3, write your website copy and your brand messaging. So I recommend that we do this before we kind of get on to the more visual side of the website development. And I'll talk through that a little bit later on. But website copy is simply another term for all of the text that's going to appear on your website and across the different pages. And your brand messaging is those few short, kind of sharp, snappy sentences that really sum up in a couple of lines what it is that your business offers. Now, this involves, looking back through your wireframe or your blueprint and seeing what information you plan to include and what information your customer or your client will require when they get to your website. So we want them to be able to visit your website, read your copy, and be able to make a really confident purchase decision. Well thought out website copy genuinely can convince a potential customer to buy from you before they have even added a product to their cart, or they've picked up the phone to call you or request a quote. It is a really valuable step in that web design process. However, it is not always easy to write website copy. there are a few things that I would recommend that you kind of keep in mind when you are putting the copy together for your website. What we want you to do is, have, oh, sorry, I've jumped ahead of myself there again. There's a couple of things I suppose I just recommend that you keep in mind. One of the first things is that we want you to break your content down into one main heading so that it acts like a headline for your page. And after that, then break everything down into those subheadings. What it allows your visitors to do is to, scan down through your content and pick up those key pieces of information that you want your customers to know. So as I said, they can scan down through, they can look for, what it is they're looking for on that particular page. And the reason that this is important, not just for, I suppose, the user experience on your site, but also it's great for SEO, right? So when somebody searches in Google or, whatever search engine they're using, Google will then crawl millions of websites looking firstly at the headings on a web page to see if that topic is relevant to the user's search, and then the subheadings, then the paragraph copy. Now, that is genuinely a very, very simple way of explaining how, SEO works, just one of the many ways that SEO works, but it is a really great way of optimizing your content for SEO and laying it out clearly and concisely for your website visitors as well. So next thing, get straight to the point, hit your website visitors in the face with the key points of information that you want them to know. You can even use bullet points to highlight the key benefits of your products or services again, and this can help you get that very coveted featured spot at the top of a Google search that is known as position 0. So, when you do Google search, and like that, as you can see here, it kind of prompts you with a quick list of bullet points. I just popped in how to design a kitchen. You can get a good idea of what we're doing in our house at the moment. But again, this is position 0. And by including bullet points in your copy, it's a really nice way of kind of getting yourself in the running to take that spot. We also wanted to use words and language that your customers use. Use the voice of your customers. So you don't want to hit your customers with, so much jargon that they really can't understand what benefits you offer them, nor do you want them to, nor do you want to write copy for, a very professional service that is so basic, it sounds like you might not actually be qualified to deliver that very professional service. So just consider who your target audience is. Use the words and the language that they would use in everyday conversation, but this is particularly applicable if you are working with maybe, like products or services that are very technical based, and there is kind of, I suppose there is a lot of industry terminology perhaps that would be used. I actually like to use, again, the kitchen industry for an example in this capacity, because in the kitchen industry, the storage part of your kitchen, right, is called a kitchen unit. Maybe a base unit or a wall unit, sometimes a tall unit, but nobody says like, hey, Mary, will you go and grab a plate there from the wall unit? You're going to say like, Mary, will you grab a cup from the press or a plate from the drawer, whatever. So people, general Joe blogs will use words like cupboard, press, drawers, counter, whereas in the kitchen industry, they use wall unit, base unit, drawer pack, worktop. So it's really important when writing copy around kitchen design that a company like Evoke Kitchens uses kitchen, presses, cupboards, drawers in their copy so that their customers know what it is that they're referring to. Again, this helps you avoid using jargon that alienates your customers, and it's also really good for SEO and in particular voice search optimization, which is something that every website designer should be optimizing for. You want to make sure as well that you emphasize the benefits of your products or services over their features. So especially in your headings, you can get into the features to back up those benefits a little bit later in your copy, but it sounds very harsh, right, what I'm going to say, but people don't necessarily care about your business or your brand. They do care, however, about how your business or brand can solve their problems. Now, obviously, you are going to have lots of loyal customers who will care about you and your business, but consider it from the perspective of somebody who has never heard of you before and they land on your website and they are here to find out about you. If they're going to part with their money for what it is that you're offering, they want to know how they are going to benefit from what you're giving them or doing for them. So rather than high torque cleaner head with dynamic load sensor technology intelligently adapts power to deep clean carpets, right? If the word carpets wasn't in that, I'm not actually sure, and obviously if I didn't include that little video, I don't think I'd actually know what sort of a product they were talking about, but instead you could go with, our cordless vacuum cleaner is built with intelligent technology that will deep clean your carpets in half the time of a standard vacuum. Now, the first one does sound very fancy, but when you're reading that description on its own, as I said, like I don't think I'm even sure that it's a vacuum cleaner, you know, or a Hoover, as we would, you know, normally call them, but it could be an industrial carpet steamer with that description. And honestly, that is legitimately pulled from a website of a very well-known cordless vacuum cleaner brand. But unless it's spelled out, do I really know what the benefit of high torque cleaner head is with dynamic load sensor technology? You know, is it just going to be a heavier head, and is that dynamic load sensor technology going to be a bit more aggressive on my carpets? Like, I just don't know. But at least with that second piece of copy, I instantly know the benefits of the product because it's having the time that I need to do the job. And later in the copy, perhaps they could explain how those benefits are delivered through all of that very cool technology. So always consider what your customer wants to get from what you're offering and spell that out to them as soon as they land on your website. And you don't have to have pages and pages of copy either. In fact, some of the best websites out there really do keep their information, you know, very short and sweet, but they make sure it's effective and it's very customer focused. So once you have that done, it is time to move on to your images. So we want to gather and name and size all of your images as well. And this is where we really start to see your website, you know, develop its color and its flavor and start to take shape into something that your customers are really going to love. So good website images, they can really be the difference between a beautiful, high-performing website and one that customers genuinely don't engage with. If you already have images to use, that is brilliant. If not, you can genuinely build a really on-brand image bank that won't cost you a penny. Now, they don't have to be shot by a professional photographer, but they do need to be crisp and clear. They need to be visually appealing and representative of your brand as well. So you can shoot great images on a good smartphone or a DSLR camera. If you set it up with some good lighting and you've got your product laid out nice and clearly, they can be really, really effective. Likewise, you can take, great headshots of your team on, a smartphone or a DSLR camera as well. And you can also source images from brands you work with. If you're stocking particular brands in your website store, get onto those brands and see if they've got some product shots that you can work with. You can also download free to use stock images from sites like Unsplash, Pixabay, or Pexels, where you can find some really beautiful free website and Instagram worthy stock images that can make your website look incredible without you needing to hire a photographer or set up, a really expensive brand photography shoot. Now, lots of people, when they're going about building their website, they'll jump straight into finding great images for their website, especially when they discover the likes of the free image resources that we mentioned, Unsplash, Pexels, Pixabay. But there is a reason that I leave gathering images until closer to the end of the web design process. So unless you know what you're looking for, you can fall down a rabbit hole, and I'm speaking from experience here, of browsing beautiful free images and saving hundreds that you will ultimately never need. Now, not only does this waste your time, but you'll actually waste valuable storage space on your desktop or your laptop or your hard drive. And you're only going to need to go back through all of the ones you've saved anyway to narrow down your selection once you know what images you use. So here are just, I suppose, a few examples of some stock images, because I know some people have an aversion to stock images, and we all know those kind of really cheesy, overly smiley or awkward pictures that, that we've seen show up in the most weird and wild of places. But I just wanted to give you, I suppose, a flavor of some of the free images that are out there that are available, that could work as really beautiful kind of filler content or ancillary content or even blog content for your website as well. So again, I grabbed all of these from the likes of Pexels, even a few from Canva as well. Where else did I get them from? Unsplash, of course, is probably one of my favorites. But if you are, working with a photographer, because perhaps you've got products or, you wanted to get very specific brand shots, what I would recommend is create a plan, develop a shot list, and know exactly what it is that you need before you hire that photographer, because otherwise, again, you could end up paying, way over the odds for them to shoot images that you don't end up using, or maybe don't even accurately reflect your offering or the products or the services that, that are associated with your business. So I recommend doing out that wireframe of your website, deciding where your text and your images are going to go, then going to find and source or shoot your images. So now at this stage, you're going to know how many images you need, what they're going to be used for, the context that they're going to be displayed in, and you'll know if you need them to be in landscape or portrait orientation, which is quite important across your site as well. So this can genuinely cut your time and your cost in half, just making it a far more efficient process. So once you have gathered your images, you're going to want to make sure now that they're the correct size. So not necessarily pixel size, but file size. So if an image is too large, and even some very badly taken shots on a smartphone can be huge file sizes, it can really greatly slow down the loading speed of your site, which is both off-putting for site visitors and it's very bad for SEO. So you're going to want to make sure that your images are less than about 500 kbs each, with no more than 5 megabits of images per page. So if you're loading in a little gallery onto a particular page, you're sharing a number of pictures as part of a blog post, again, just make sure that the sum of all of those images doesn't go over that 5 megabits. So I use a tool called bulkresizePhotos.com. It is super simple and basic, but it's free, it's fast, and it allows you to resize images by file size rather than cropping them or shrinking them to fit a certain parameter. So it is definitely one that I would recommend. You can see here how quickly it is. Once we hit that start button now, like that's it. I think I uploaded about 8 images there. So it's super quick. And as I said, definitely one that I recommend. So bulkresizePhotos.com. So then it's time to name your images. Now, when you're uploading an image onto your website and it's got a file name, DSC 9015 or whatever it is, Google has absolutely no idea what the context of that picture is or what's in the photo or what it's about. So I would definitely recommend instead naming your images based on the content that you're using that image for. So for example, if you are saving a picture of an office chair that you're going to be using in a blog post about 10 items worth investing in for your new home office, you could name the image something like home office chair, black leather, and then your company name. So that way, when people are searching for either that type of product or your brand name, your image is likely to be returned in a Google search along with the content surrounding that image as well. And the other benefit is that if people then save that image from your website, your brand name is saved with the image to their desktop or device. So some website platforms are going to give you the option to add further metadata and alt text to an image as well, while others will pull that from the file name. So naming your images accordingly can be, again, really beneficial for SEO, but it will help you stay really organized, which is another benefit when you're moving on to the next step of your website, which is arguably the best part, aside from launching, obviously. So now for step 5, we load in your content. So at this stage, we've got all of the copy and the text that we're going to be using on your website. We know your navigation and your layout. We've got that all planned. We've got your images sized, named. We know where they're going. We know what orientation we're looking for. So at this stage, we are ready to see your website come to life. So this is my favorite part because it can take a website, from looking like this, which is the wireframe that we built a little bit earlier on, to looking like this, which is now a beautiful website that, has, great images. It's got, really lovely layout. It's very easily navigable. And again, really strong brand image and nice, a nice kind of way of just, populating that wireframe and turning it into a great website. At this stage as well, the hard work is done. So, you're now just creating the pages within the website. You're populating each of them with that text that you're going to be using. So there's a few things just to keep in mind at this stage of your website build. You're going to want to make sure that the title of your page accurately represents what the page and the content is about. So this is, what's going to show up. It's the name of your web page, or the name of that you give the page, the title of the page, is what's going to show up in that blue text on a Google search. So you want your potential website visitors to be able to read that and instantly know, what they're getting from that page. So some platforms, as we can see here, for example, will default to maybe calling it new page or general page or general 1 or general 2. So you want to make sure that you change that to a title that best fits its purpose, and just gives, as I said, your visitors to your site an idea of what that page is about before they even get to it. So likewise, you're going to want to make sure that the URL or the page slug is named something like yourwebsite.com / the title of your page, or / the topic of the blog post, or / your product name. So again, a lot of the time, a website, platform will auto-populate this with maybe a unique sequence of letters or numbers, but that won't perform well in a Google search, and it doesn't really make sense to your customers or your website visitors then when they're, trying to look at that website link. And, consider the fact that if they're sharing that in a WhatsApp message, that all you're getting is this kind of mumble jumble, and you want instead for somebody to see, your website.com / whatever the newest product is called. I do find personally that WordPress is a devil for this. So if you are working on a WordPress site, keep a very close eye on your page URL. So at this stage, you've got your content, we've loaded it in, and your website should start to take real shape and start looking like something that your customers would be really wowed by when they jump onto your website. So we're on to our final step. This is where we link your external services and we do all of your final checks. So this is essentially the last thing that we're going to do before we go live on your website. The first thing that you want to do is link up your domain name. So this is the www.yourwebsitename.com part of your website. So it's like the address of a house, depending on where you bought your domain name and what platform you're using to build your website on. Some of them will kind of sync them automatically, whereas others maybe require a little bit more technical input, but it's nothing that I can't help you work around before we wrap up tonight. And again, if you've got any questions on this, perhaps, hit me with them at the end of the night. So if you are buying a .com domain from the website platform builder that you're using, like Squarespace or GoDaddy, they may, as I said, automatically assign that domain name to your website for you. But if you're buying a .ie domain name, which I definitely would recommend if your customers are predominantly Irish based, Hosting Ireland and Black Knight are two great resources to have, both Irish based as well. So if you're buying your domain name from the likes of Hosting Ireland or Black Knight, and you're building your site in WordPress or Squarespace, you're going to need then to map your domain name over to your website so that the internet knows to send people to your website when they type in your domain name. So a little bit like, having a brand new house and giving it an address so that the post office essentially knows where to send all your lovely letters and your bills. What you're going to need to do then as well is go to your settings section. So at this stage, this is Hosting Ireland, this is where I have all of my domains registered. So you go into your Hosting Ireland account, you go to your what's called your domain name servers. So every platform will provide you with a number of records then that will be unique to your site that you can copy and paste into your account wherever you bought your domain name. So the good thing is that Hosting Ireland and Black Knight, as I said, both Irish companies, Hosting Ireland's based in Waterford, Black Knight in Carlow, and they can add those records for you if the process seems a little bit too complicated to manage yourself, and they genuinely are so helpful and they can get it done in a matter of hours, which is very handy. So once your DNS records are in and your domain is mapped over to your site, you'll want to allow 24 to 72 hours of your SSL security to be processed. So I recommend holding off on launching until your SSL certificate has been processed. So your website platform should let you know when you've gotten the green light in this regard. You can also check by looking for that little lock symbol in the browser bar, and also by checking that the domain name itself begins with HTTPS and not just HTTP. That S stands for secure. So again, this ensures that all data processed from the user to the website is secure. So you'll also want to link a payment processor. So if you're selling any products or services on your website, a payment processor simply facilitates the transfer of money from the customer's card to your bank account, and they do it safely and securely. So most commonly used and widely known are Stripe and PayPal, and either will work with almost all website platforms. So if you're hoping then to capture some customer data from your website and use it for email marketing, you will want to link a service like MailChimp or Flowdesk or something else along those lines, so that data is captured safely and stored securely in line with GDPR requirements. Now, again, most platforms will allow these services to sync up so that a customer can add their email address on your website, but the data then is sent to MailChimp or Flowdesk and stored on their servers for you to send emails to in the future. Some platforms offer, more seamless integration than others. But you can kind of investigate, when you're shopping around and see which one is going to suit you best. Personally, I use Squarespace and MailChimp as they just work so fluidly together. So you might also want to link your brand's Instagram account so a live feed appears on your website. Again, most website platforms will kind of allow that, what's called a kind of a push notification that comes through to your website. So every time you update your Instagram account, it automatically updates on your website as well. Once you've got your services linked, then it is time to do all those final checks, like making sure all the links and the buttons click through to where they should, to the right places. You want to double check that all the content is in the right place. You also want to make sure that if you're linking to anything outside of your own website, just make sure that it is set to open in a new tab so that it doesn't take the visitor away from your own website. I recommend then as well doing a thorough proofread. I'm pretty sure I probably should have done another proofread on my own presentation tonight. I'd say there was one or two little typos in there, but you know, what I would recommend is even bringing in a friend or a family member here to look over the website and spend some time maybe navigating through it so that they can just take a fresh look. Because sometimes when, you know, you're at this stage of your website development, you're nearly blurry-eyed to it, and it's just really hard to, you know, to see those little typos that ordinarily would probably jump out, you know, straight to you. So I recommend as well then doing some test sales on your products. Most websites will allow you the facility to do a test sale that doesn't actually require the transaction of any money, but it just brings you through the process. So you can check the order confirmation emails are going out okay. You can check that the checkout is set up to capture the information that you need to fulfill the order, etc. And then sign up for your own newsletter to make sure that, you know, that valuable customer information that you want captured on your website is being captured, and then it's being transferred and stored in your MailChimp or your Flowdesk account. And when you're happy with all of that, you are ready to launch. So I know in hindsight that those 6 simple steps might not actually seem so simple, because obviously there's a lot of, you know, kind of subdivisions within each of those, but they will sound very simple, I promise, when I just give you one kind of final run through. So first of all, we want you to choose the platform that you want to use to build your website. Then decide on your navigation and your layout. Write all of your website copy and your brand messaging. Gather, size, and name all of your images. Load in your content, link your external services, and do your final checks. And at that stage, you go live. And congratulations as well, because you are now the proud owner of a very fabulous website that sets you apart from your competition and starts to attract high value customers who will come back to you again and again. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Teresanne. That was a great presentation. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. We actually have one question I received. It basically says, how good is Squarespace in terms of SEO optimization? So for someone who is a non-coder, could they edit the page titles, alt text, etc.?
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
I actually find it's funny because there's quite a few kind of blog posts and stuff out there that give Squarespace a little bit of a bad rap for SEO optimization. But honestly, in my experience, as I said, I've been developing with them now for 7 or 8 years. And I find them brilliant. The other thing that I'll say is that a lot of people, I suppose, consider SEO as maybe just your keywords, but there's so much more to it. I mean, keywords are only one teeny tiny part of it. It comes down to, your page loading speed, the user experience on that page, the metadata that sits within that page. But Squarespace is, the platform that I choose because it doesn't require coding, which makes it extremely easy for any Joe blogs to.
It's very user friendly.
Exactly, to jump on in there and make those changes that would be best suited to their site. And the one thing that I will say as well, like I have one particular client, we're working on their 3rd website now because their business has been evolving so much over the past number of years that they've been in business. They're almost 7 years open. But in a Google search, they actually show up in that really prime position of number 3 nationally for their service offering. So I can definitely testify to Squarespace being suitable for SEO.
Okay, thanks. Another couple of questions. Well, first of all, thank you from Nathan. Do you have a template you can share for wireframe development? And can you not organize SSL cert in advance so you can go live straight away?
Sorry, could you repeat the second part?
Sure, just 1 second. They're coming fast. So the first part is, do you have a template you can share for wireframe development?
Okay, so I don't. I actually just literally develop from scratch. So I start with a pen and paper and I draw it out, on a quick refill pad. And at that stage, then once I see it start to take shape, I jump into, kind of a graphic editor like InDesign or Canva, and I start to kind of piece it together just to give it, I suppose, more structure and more kind of an aesthetically pleasing wireframe.
Okay.
And at that stage, then present it to the client.
Yeah, and again, the second part of the question from Nathan is, can you not organize as SSL cert in advance so you can go live straight away? And do you need to arrange anything in advance with payment gateways, or can it all be done through plugins?
You actually can organize your SSL in advance. I suppose these steps that I was sharing today are really, if you want to get your website up in the next 3, 4, 5 days. What you want to do first of all is focus on the content, I suppose, which is of most value to your business at the very beginning, and then we look at the kind of the technical side of things to make sure that everything is perfect. You absolutely can. Like what I would do personally with a client is I would map their domain over to their to the website once it's built, and while we're kind of doing those tests then on the site, I'm letting that SSL process so that it is done and it's in advance before the website goes up. So you absolutely can do that. I suppose just for the purpose of as I said, those kind of 6 simple steps, I left linking all of those external services, I suppose, until the end.
Thank you. Next question is from Mary, is how can you promote your website when it's done?
Okay. So a number, obviously, like social media, obviously, is going to be one of your biggest tools here. And the other thing is, like, a lot of people, I think, kind of get a bit scared of social media because they often think they need to be active on every single platform. You have Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram. What I would do is figure out, where do your potential customers spend most of their time, and also what platform are you most comfortable on? Because okay, you might find that your website users, your potential customers are on Instagram, but you just cannot get your head around it. But you love Facebook. Start there, get yourself comfortable with it, promote it. The other thing, and this is actually just kind of an interesting one, because I read an article recently about how traditional PR is dead, right? And I just kind of want to say that I definitely think it's not. I think when you've got a website, traditional PR actually can be hugely valuable, because what it can do is kind of put your website out there to perhaps local media. If you're in Waterford, maybe WLR, Beat, you've got News and Star. Nationally, obviously, you've got endless kind of blogs, newspapers, traditional media. What it can do is create authoritative backlinks for your website then as well, where other websites are linking back to your website. And if those websites are kind of powerful, high performing, that's going to give your website an awful lot of credibility. So I wouldn't overlook sending out, a nice press release when your website is up, especially if it's something that, is I suppose relevant, to a local audience, or if it is a national audience, go national.
And I guess just following up on that, Teresanne, I guess the question is from myself. You did touch on the importance of good keywords, that you're supposed to be speaking the language of your customers. And you just said about the backlinks and how it actually improves your organic SEO ranking. What is your opinion about the paid keywords? Let's say, on Google, to promote your website to your customer segments.
I find that it can be very expensive and very hard to quantify for a small business. Most of my clients, as I said, are technically micro businesses as per the EU, I suppose, classification, less than 10 employees and, turning over kind of less than 2.5 million or something. So, I mean, it's a very expensive way, I think, of trying to get traffic back to your website, when there are a lot of free and available tools that are out there. And with a good content marketing strategy, once your website is live, and kind of, thinking through, right, I'm going to be consistent with the information that I'm putting up there on my site to make sure that it's updated, and I'm sharing information and new information with my customers regularly, that you're continually attracting them back to that website. And it is incredible how you can get yourself up that Google search engine results, or any search engine results page by doing things organically.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's great. Thanks. Next question is, we have Thank you very much for the presentation. And how do you ensure that you own the domain name, that you own the domain name of the website and not the developer? Thank you.
Yeah, good question, actually. Ask them, talk to your developer. So there's a couple of different ways. So for example, I have some clients who have, so where maybe I purchased the domain name on their behalf and I would transfer that domain name over to them, but I may purchase it on their behalf, but register it to them. So they are the registered owner. It just sits in my account so that I can manage it for them, you know, if it needs to be renewed or if it needs to be pointed to a new website, or, you know, it just gives me kind of control in case anything goes belly up for any reason.
Absolutely.
But definitely talk to your developer, because I have worked with clients, say, who've moved from a previous developer to working with me at the Forest, and they've had a lot of trouble maybe getting a hold of their own domain name. You know, and what you don't want is to kind of go through the process of, you know, building this beautiful website and for your previous developer say, yeah, no bother, I'll get that over to you, yeah, no problem. And all of a sudden you're ready to go live and they're going, oh yeah, sorry, I'm not sure, I'll have to get Jimmy to look at that next week, and you're delayed by a week, you know. So I would definitely have a chat with your developer, ask them, is it registered to you? And if you're comfortable and confident enough to take that into your own account, ask them to set it up in an account with your name, or you go ahead and set up an account with the likes of Hosting Ireland or Black Knight and ask them to transfer it into your account for you.
Oh, that's great. Thanks, Teresanne. We have a couple of more questions.
Yeah.
The next one is, have you ever encountered any pitfalls using a website plugin like a booking calendar?
Okay, no, I haven't. The only plugin that I have used, again, because I work with Squarespace, there, you know, it is limited with the plugins that it will work with, but is a plugin called Acuity Scheduling. I find it extremely effective. You know, I do think it's an excellent service, and it links seamlessly within Squarespace, but I have heard of people having trouble, say, again, if you're using, you know, an open source software like WordPress, you're plugging in from there. I suppose I don't have a huge amount of experience working with scheduling. But sorry, are we talking about scheduling as in?
It's a booking calendar. It says.
A booking calendar, exactly. Yeah, excuse me.
Yes.
So I don't have a huge amount of experience. I do work with one client, for example, in the hospitality sector. So they have a number of, say, guest rooms, and we work with a very particular provider called Avivo. So we can, you know, sell rooms through their website using that platform. It kind of depends, I think, on what your industry is. For example, actually, I have another client who's a physiotherapist and takes bookings again through a medical based plugin, or, you know, a plugin based or developed for medical professionals. Again, I haven't had too many difficulties with them. So I feel like I can't actually help you because I haven't come across that problem myself.
It's okay. It's an honest answer. It's all right. We have next question is from Mary. It consists of two questions. Well, first of all, she would like to thank you for a great presentation.
Thank you.
I think we all agree on that. But the question is, does Squarespace host for you, or are you paying hosting costs as well as the monthly cost of owning it?
Okay, so are you talking about a domain name here, or?
I guess, yeah, it's I think it's about the hosting. So I suppose it is about the domain name.
Okay. So what I'll do is I'll answer the two potential kind of sections of that question, I think, that could have been posed. So again, Squarespace allows, let's just say we're talking about a domain name. So Squarespace allows you to buy a domain name as part of their platform. And actually, if you sign up for a 12-month license at the beginning, it will actually give you a free domain name for a year, which is brilliant. Now, you know, it's only going to save you 20 or so euro, but at this stage, every cost counts, right? So you can buy your domain name within the Squarespace platform. Unfortunately, you can't buy a .ie domain name. That's the only thing. So you are confined to your .com, and perhaps if you're building a website for, you know, a different kind of jurisdiction outside of Ireland, you can get access to a .co.uk, etc. If it is a case that you're asking about the, say, just the hosting of the actual website itself, what you're paying for is a license that you essentially use through the Squarespace platform. But that website is entirely yours. And it's yours for as long as you are essentially paying that license with Squarespace. I always equate it to like renting a house or an apartment. It is yours, it is your home. You have every right to it while you're there and while you're paying the license for it. And at any stage, you can walk away, shut it down, and have no commitment. The other really good thing about that, because again, I know sometimes people are, you know, maybe more of the opinion that you're better off to just own your website outright. I personally wouldn't recommend that on the grounds that if you consider it, say, like owning a house or renting a house, right? Now, I know in Ireland, we're all about owning our houses, right? But if you own a house and a wall falls down, you are responsible for building that wall back up again, and it could be very costly. If you rent a house and you rent a house from a really good landlord, and let's consider Squarespace as our really good landlord in this instance, that landlord will never let that wall fall down. And if it does, they're there in an instant to fix it for you. It's not at your expense. So that's kind of one way of considering, you know, paying a license for a website to be hosted as opposed to owning a site outright.
I suppose it also depends on the type of business you are. If you're a micro business, that makes perfect sense.
Absolutely.
But if you're a larger business and more established, you might want to own it
of course
in the future.
Absolutely.
So I guess it depends on your situation as well.
It does, yeah. And the other thing I'd say as well is that, you know, if you do own your website outright, the one thing I suppose to kind of keep in mind is that any maybe updates to templates that you use, plugins that you use, it's on you know, you and your team to make sure that they're updated all the time. So if you've got a big team, you've got a great, you know, IT crew within your team, then that's definitely an option for you. But again, if you're a smaller or micro business, you know, you may want to know that support is there for you.
The second part of that question from Mary is, for a micro business with a small e-commerce offering, is it better to use the business plan or e-commerce plan on Squarespace? She notices that the business plan has 3% transaction fee.
Yeah. Okay, what I would do here is I would sit down and say, how many products do I legitimately expect to sell on my website? And what you want to do then is figure out, if I sell 100 products at X per item, you know, X euro per unit, is the potential revenue from that going to outweigh the cost, the increased cost per month or per year that it would cost you to upgrade to the Commerce Basic plan? So I would always recommend clients go for the Commerce Basic, because with some, you know, really good, when I say really good marketing, I mean any marketing, any social media marketing that you can do, you can drive sales to your website. And you're really not setting up an e-commerce website unless you think there's a legitimate chance that people will buy. So I would say go for the Commerce Basic plan. And if you find that, you know what, I'm really not making any money here, downgrade to the business plan and forfeit that 3%. Now, do bear in mind as well that Stripe will take 2.5% of every sale, I think maybe 2% of every sale and 25 cents per sale as well. So you do have to kind of account for that, but you're really not going to find any platform that doesn't charge some fee for the transaction.
Okay. Next question is from Claire. Well, she says it was an excellent presentation, but how can you drive traffic to your site once launched? Well, I guess we already answered that, but I just read it out. So as Teresanne said, your content management has to be on point, and you have to utilize all the free tools that are at your disposal as possible.
Absolutely. And you know what? Like, don't be afraid to reach out to your real life network of people, you know, your WhatsApp groups and your colleagues maybe in work, or your classmates in college or whatever, and ask them to maybe share your page or, you know, interact with your website. Like, to be honest, if you're in business, there's a tiny part of you that has to be a little bit shameless about just getting out there and saying, you know what, I could do with any little bit of help you can give me here, any like, any share. People don't have to buy from you, or you don't have to book your services at all, but a like or a share just goes so far.
Absolutely.
So don't be afraid to reach out to people as well and ask them that.
Next question is, in regards to the pictures, does the 5 megabyte limit also apply to the e-commerce page?
Yes, per product page though. So the good thing is if you've got 300 products in your store, you don't need to kind of say, right, I've got to make sure that these 300 products only have, you know, what am I trying to say? A picture that's, you know, half a kilobit large. It's per product page. So, you know, every time you click into that product, and then you've got maybe 3 or 4 product images, again, you just want to make sure that they don't surpass that 5 megabit mark.
Okay. A question from Claire. Thanks, Teresanne. That was great and really helpful. I have only worked with WordPress, but on Squarespace, do you download plugins like WordPress or are they built in? No. Is there the same amount of choice? Thank you. There
isn't. No. Okay. So no, you don't download plugins in the same capacity. And I would say there isn't the same amount of choice, but there are very few things in the past 7 or 8 years that I have tried to do or needed to do within Squarespace that I haven't tried to work around for. So take of that what you will.
Okay. Finally, we have a question from Wayne. Again, he's thanking you for a fantastic presentation, but in terms of analytics in particular, what is the best plugin you have worked with?
Okay, so Squarespace has its own built-in analytics kind of platform within the site. Obviously, Google Analytics is a nightmare, but it's really insightful. Aribi is another one that I've only delved into on kind of a free trial basis. I haven't quite kind of signed up just yet. I'm trying to get my head around, I suppose, the, you know, just the layout of it, but I have heard some really good things. But again, I mean, it's analytics are a funny one because I suppose for me, the things that I look at mainly are, you know, say, especially if we're looking at an e-commerce site, you know, we want to know what's the average order value, what products are, you know, bringing in the most revenue. We want to see, you know, I'd say, you know, the time of a sale, especially in relation to maybe any marketing material that we've rolled out with that, and all of that can be done within the Squarespace platform. But, you know, again, it kind of depends on what your specific needs are for the analytics that you want to capture.
Yeah.
Personally, I feel like I get pretty much everything I need from Squarespace itself and then Google Analytics for anything more in depth.
Okay, well, thank you. I don't see any more questions, so I guess that's the end of, oh, actually, yeah, well, just some thank yous. We would also like thank Teresanne from RIKON as well. Well done. It was a fantastic and very insightful presentation, and it was great to see such a great attendance today. Hopefully everyone enjoyed it, and we will have our next event around April, as I said. And if you have any questions, you can email Teresanne or you can email RIKON for your business funding support. And again, thank you everyone so much for attending. And I guess we will see you next time. Teresanne, do you have anything to say?
Not at all. Again, I just want to thank everybody for coming along tonight and joining us. And again, for all of the great questions as well, because it's kind of nice as well to be, I suppose, thrown a few questions that sometimes I haven't even asked myself. So again, thank you very much. And actually, I suppose a bit of a shameless plug, my own website, typical, you know, it's like, as my mother used to always say, the cobbler's child is always barefoot. You're the last to look after your own. But my own website is actually only going live at the minute.
Well, it's going to go live soon enough.
It's theforest.ie. And again, if you'd like to, you know, sign up and join me for, you know, some SEO tips and website development, kind of tips and insights along the way, I'd love you to join me there. So thank you again very much.
Yeah, well, and thank you, Teresanne. It was a pleasure having you here.
Thank you.
And thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you next time, and have a nice evening, everyone. Goodbye.
Thanks again. Bye.